get started. We're here for the first Let's Talk ERP session, and today we're looking at Buyer's Workbench, and I'm your presenter, Darren Faulkner. So let's have a look. Let's get into it. First of all, look, just a safe harbor statement, just a standard safe harbor statement. I'll leave it up for a second. Obviously, the stuff that I'm going to be showing you, you may or may not have that module license, and you know, sometimes it may look a little bit different in your environment. I'll leave this up for a sec. Okay. Now, the majority of you all have been Precise customers for a while, but just for those of you that are new, and just to give you a bit of a reminder, a little bit about Precise. Look, we're a global company. There's over 50 staff globally. Most of those people are in Perth. We have been doing ERP solutions, being a provider for over 30 years. We are a certified Epicor premium partner, and yeah, very proud to have won the International Partner Award 5 times, which is really exciting. We have a team of certified consultants who are industrial specialists. I'm the manufacturing specialist, and I've just recently done my certification in purchasing. We have to renew it. We renew our certification every 18 months. So yeah, I've just literally gone through that. We are also software developers, and we've got our own products, APM, ARM, and that's sold globally as well. So it's a bit about Precise. About me. Well, yeah, I'm Darren Faulkner. I am project lead, ARM and ERP operations. My background is manufacturing, electronic manufacturing. Over 20 years of manufacturing experience. I've also, so during that time, I'm working for global multinational companies, ERG, and when I worked for ERG, got the opportunity to work with Nokia, and that was great to work with them and have access to all of their processes. Also worked with AMPAC, which is another global company, and yeah, during my time at ERG, I also worked in IT, working in working with their ERP system. And while I was in manufacturing, I worked from the shop floor all the way to, you know, purchasing, sales, planner. So I worked through the whole, you know, through the whole manufacturing. So I've got a pretty wide experience there. When I moved to Precise, I found it a really great opportunity because it was like marrying the technical and manufacturing experience that I'd learnt. And I found that it's been a really good fit and really enjoying working here. Look, a bit of personal side, I am a kid at heart and I love riding my motorbike on the weekend. Me and my son go dirt bike riding up and at Pinjar, and try and obviously not fall off, but we have a great time. What are we here for today though? We're here for the Buyer's Workbench. And I can't emphasize, I'll keep on emphasizing that this is the go-to spot for a buyer to work efficiently. Kinetic really made this a game changer. They introducing the PO suggestions, allowing to select and raise multiple suggestions from the grid. And also they brought in a feature which, you know, would have been great if it was there before, but it finally came in, was once the POs are actually created, you know, giving a list of the POs and being able to you know, quickly navigate to them. Just while we're on that, like that came through as a suggestion or an idea, an Epicor idea. So when they're doing the development of, like, the new versions of Kinetic and so on and so forth, they actually, use some of the suggestions. And that was one of the suggestions that someone had written, said, hey, it'd be great if the, application could do this particular thing. They wrote that suggestion, it got voted for, and it actually went in. So if you do use the ideas, or if you don't use the ideas, I would suggest you do, because your idea could actually make a difference to everyone else as well. Look, there are some prerequisites to actually use the buyer's workbench. You need to have the supplier relationship module license. And what I'm going to be showing you today is the Kinetic version. So you need Kinetic. Now, there are some really good benefits in having the Kinetic. It's still in the Classic, but the Kinetic, there are some specific features that they've put into the buyer's workbench that'll only actually work in the actual browser. So if you haven't got the browser, then you won't be getting some of the features. And the browser's a lot quicker as well. So let's get into it. Manufacturing process. We'll start off here. Look, this is just an overview of, like, a flow diagram of the manufacturing process. And what we're going to be concentrating on today is looking at after the MRP, where there's PO suggestions, POs. So we'll be looking in this kind of area. So we're looking at when after MRP is created, PO suggestions, and then, looking at the new possession PO suggestions that MRP said, hey, let's create something. Let's raise PO, and the change PO suggestions, which can be to change quantity, postpone, expedite it, or even cancel the order. Some of the other things that are available within the buyer's workbench, which we'll look into detail in a sec, is working with the RFQs and entering the price lists. So a little bit more detailed slide. This is the buyer's workbench. Now, what I did here was I had a look at all of the actions that a buyer can do within the buyer's workbench. Now, like I say, it is, to me, it's the go-to place for the vendor. Sorry, my apologies. It's the go-to place for a buyer, anyone in the procurement section, because it's a launching pad for all of the kind of things that you need, so that you can very efficiently and quickly respond to things that you need to respond to. So we just have a look. When you go into the buyer's workbench, it is set up specifically for your default buyer. And when you come in, you'll see RFQs and purchase orders grouped. The RFQs are grouped in suggestions, open, responses, and decisions, and we'll have a look at that in detail in a second. And these are the kind of functions that you can do. You can, within the suggestions, you can add a supplier, use a supplier wizard, generate the RFQ, and so you can do all of these actions from the actual one place. Instead of going to all the different menus, it's all in one spot, and you can very easily get in. Some of the other, actions you can do is you can go to the supplier, you can generate suggestions from the workbench as well, and go to PO suggestions. Like I said at the beginning, so when we come into the workbench, it's all related to your default buyer. So it's all filtered for you. If you do want to go out and see a little bit more detail about all of the buyers as a complete list, then you go off into the PO suggestions dashboard, because then that way you can see all of them. With the latest Kinetic 2024.2, it made even further changes from the .1. I was doing the presentation on the .1 early, preparing it for dot one, but then when dot two came, there was just further enhancements that I needed to show, because it made I think a considerable difference. They grouped it like and into sort of like tighter groups, and then allowed filtering to effectively slice and dice the records. So let's get into the buyer's workbench and have a look at it, actually how it will work from a day-to-day perspective. Okay, so I've logged into Epicor. I just do want to point out one thing. It says not secure up here, but that's because it's a local VM. Nothing to worry about. Epicor is secure, but this is just on my local computer, so nothing to worry about. Okay, so let's open up the buyer's workbench. Like I say, it does have you do have to have the supplier relationship module to utilize this functionality. And obviously, if you do like what you see, then reach out, and if you haven't got suppliers relationship module, and we can help you out. Okay, so this is what it comes up with. It has shown all of the records for B. Howard. That's my default buyer. You can switch it over to any of the other buyers, but that's my primary one, so that's what's coming up with. It's showing me all of the RFQs that there's suggestions for. So there's suggestions being raised to get RFQs done for these. So you can simply just come in, have a look at this, and go, yep, agreed. I think I need to generate those. Let's generate those and process them. Wait, sorry, must have a supplier. That's what my name. Okay, so that's that. So I can generate that. That one's dropped off there, and it would have moved into the open. These are all of the open RFQs. Anything which is a due date, which is in the past, it's been highlighted in red to make it really easy for you to identify straight away. And this is just a standard dashboard. So as with any other dashboard, you can click on the filter here. You can then go filtering by whatever you want, particular date, or anything. Just to slice and dice. You can also group by things as well. Probably not the one that you want to group by. If it was a vendor name there, you could group by the vendor, but you can see now it's grouped by date. So that can be on any of the grids. It makes it easy. So we can go into the RFQ, have a look at it from here. Like I say, this is launching into the RFQ menu. Again, this webinar is really about just the central place where you can go to do all of your important work that you need to do without going to all different menus, and it's just click 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 instead of going into all the different menu items and searching for it. So we can go into the RFQ. It'll bring in the RFQ menu, and then from there we can do whatever we need to do in the RFQ. We could add another supplier or whatever, but this isn't about RFQs, it's about the buyer's workbench. So well, these are the ones that we've had responses for, and you can filter you know, if you're still waiting, if it's received, if you're not waiting, and you can click on it. Again, it will take you to the appropriate spot. This one here. So now we can enter in the response from the supplier. So we were still waiting for a response from the supplier. What's the price that they actually have quoted us? We can put in the quote price, and now you can see that it's changed to received. And it's, yeah. So waiting for label. Yep. So yeah, it on the left hand side, these are the different stages that it can go through. These decision ones, these are the ones that have already have received it. So we've received in the RFQs. And then we've got the purchase orders. Let's have a look at the purchase orders. So all your purchase orders, you've got new PO suggestions. These are all of the suggestions that MRP has created for you to go and buy. Now, obviously, you do know this is demo data, so not everything is a supplier ID and all that kind of stuff. But for the ones that have the supplier ID, I can, you know, click that I want to buy. Now, I just want to highlight again. So when we came over to Kinetic, one of the changes that they made was that now you can actually click and buy from the actual grid. Like you can click and change. It's editable. It's an updatable dashboard. Previously in Classic, you got a list of PO suggestions, but every time that you wanted to do something with a PO suggestion, you'd have to click it. You'd have to go into the PO suggestion. You'd have to click buy, and it was just not as efficient. So now you can actually, on the grid, you can filter by whatever you want, like the other one. So we could just filter by a particular supplier if we wanted, and that's all we'll see. Go through, go, yep, I want to buy that one, I want to buy that one, I want to buy that one. This one here, I don't want to buy it. What I actually want to do is I want to create an RFQ for that. I want to get request for quote. Potentially, we'll request them for a quote, but we'll also throw on another supplier, and they can, you know, we'll see which one comes back with a better price. Okay, so once you've gone through and you've had a look at your PO suggestions, and again, you can actually click on it and go to the PO suggestion. Oops. Okay. Oh, sorry, I'd have to actually click on. I don't want to. I'll come back and click on it in a second. I can, once I've selected the ones that I want to buy, selected the ones I want to you know, create. If I process a suggestion, okay, so this is just standard process a suggestion, and then once it's processed, I'm going to process for purchasing and RFQs. It is on local VM, so it is going to be a little bit slow. Hopefully not too slow. It will create them. Once it's created it, there you go. So now it comes back with a list of what it's created. So these are the POs that it's just created, and obviously they're linkable, so we could open up the PO. And these are the RFQ suggestions that have been created. So we've got another one that's created. So we can close that. But yeah, you can straight away go into the PO straight away if you need to, and do whatever you need to do. Those POs will now show up in Open. So that's how you can, you know, work in the suggestions. If you do need to go have a look at a little bit more of the detail, we can click on the PO suggestion or the date, the hyperlink. And so that's a standard view that more or less be used to if you were using classic buyer's workbench, where you have to come in and actually select this manually and go, yeah, buy, and then close it, and then it's basically updated, and then you would go process suggestions. Okay, so we'll leave that. We'll save that, so that it is ready for next time. It'll know that I've said that I'm ready to buy it. While I'm here, look, I'll just highlight this as well. This, if you're not familiar with Kinetic, if you've got a grid and it's got like heaps and heaps of records, you can press this button here, and that'll actually download the whole load of records, so that it's not paginating. So it's not like, yeah, loading them as you go down. So it's a lot quicker response. And so that's worthwhile knowing. Let's have a look at the change suggestions. Yep. So in the change suggestions, yeah, like I said, in the flow diagram, you've got like postpone, expedite, cancel, quantity change kind of ones. So I've got a few here. I've got like postpone, so got something coming in too early. MRP's run, said, hey, you don't need this part now. We need to change the date. Look, my data, as you can see, it's got some really old dates in there. Hopefully, I'm sure that your dates are up to date and you've got nothing that old. But yeah, so that's so this one here, you can click on it, and you can see the PO suggestion and a little bit more detail about it. And from here, you can go, process a suggestion. You can edit the PO, edit the line, edit the PO release. I'm going to close that. So those options are here as well. And if we did want to look at postpone, so that's what it says. We can go in, we can edit the line, we can change it, and it looks like, yep, there we go. We could change that PO line, and we could update it to reflect the new date that's required. And yeah, so like I say, this slice and dice, these are grouped into sections, so that you can make decisions quickly, and you can filter your record so that you're not looking at any of the the way in future. You're just looking at the ones now, so that you can order them. Pick, like I said, pick the supplier, group it by the supplier, so that you can hit those all at once, and it just makes it easy. These are all the open ones. Okay, so like I said before, I'm sure that you guys don't have all overdue ones, especially not anything like that old of 2021. But if the ones that are overdue, it obviously happens. I'm just joking. They'll highlight as red, but you can filter it. These are the filters. You can just look at the late ones if you want to see the late ones. What ones have been approved, what ones are pending. So there's only one that's pending here. That's still got to be approved. So yeah, you can very quickly just have a look. These ones here I haven't submitted. So want to get on top of those. Because they're either old and got to be deleted, or they've got to be submitted. You can also see the approvals that you need to make. Let me just, whoops, let me go back in there. Sorry. Okay, so these are two approvals that I have. So they come from E1. He's created them. It's over his limit. His limit I only set as $20. So everything comes through to me basically. So there's 2 purchase orders, and I'm his authorized supervisor. So I'm the next one up the line that's gonna approve them. I can simply come in here and go action, accept, do date stamp of when it was. Let's save it. You've exceeded my purchasing limit. Okay, well, it's going to go on to the next person. Okay, and the next one, this one here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reject this one. And tell them to use a different supplier. And when I set it, let's save that. Close. You can see that they're now no longer in my approvals one. I've already dealt with them. So that would have gone back to Edward. And when he opens up his buyer's workbench, he'll see that there's been a rejection and he needs to deal with it. So yeah, you can very quickly go through all of your actions that you need to do, and more efficiently in one spot, and then very quickly go to other places if you need to. So this is the overflow menu in Kinetic. So from here, it's a bit like the actions menu in Classic, where you can go to different spots, and we can go directly to any of these. If we needed to generate PO suggestions, we could just click that and it'll open up the PO suggestions menu and we can do what we need to do. What I'll do is I'll just quickly go in as the Edward, the buyer. So you can see that you can go into as someone else. That one. And you can see that there's now a rejection here, and that's the one that I literally just rejected. And so Edwin would come in, have a look. I've said use a different supplier. He can very quickly just click on that and go make his changes that he needs to do, because I wasn't happy with the supplier. So take it off approval status. He would go through, change the supplier, and then basically once he's done that, resubmit it. And then that would come back into that'll come back into my my workbench as something else that I would need to check. So let's have a look. Let's go back to oh, sorry. Go back in as myself, and we'll see that we've got another approval there. That has to happen. So that's probably, look, all I really wanted to show today was that this was like the one-stop shop for a buyer. That there's dashboards that have been brought together to present information in a way that the buyer can make the quick decisions that they need to make, with the tools to make those decisions, to be able to filter your records very easily, and then make decisions, especially these new suggestions or even change suggestions, being able to quickly group it by a supplier. Okay, so these are the different suppliers. These are all of the ones that don't have a supplier ID. They need one before you can really do anything with it. So that someone will need to go through and work on those. But all the ones for Gecko, there's only one for Gecko. There's a few for Globe. So theoretically, they're all for Globe. If we're okay with those, we could literally just select all of them, and we could process those suggestions. It'll create the POs, and then we can go send them to the supplier. So look, that's what I wanted to show you from a buyer's workbench.